Live from Studio A, WTLK, The Thunder.
Welcome to the Go Home Show of WTLK, the DragonCon Go Home Show, by the way, because this coming Thursday, everybody from Thunder Talk and History Comic Books and Nerd Bliss and everybody will be headed on over down to Atlanta, Georgia for DragonCon. So it seems like that sort of weekend would be a good time for me to, take a break from WTLK. But I'm not gonna. So anyway, let's get on to some news. Oh my god. So you remember last month how, when I did WTLK, the first sort of WTLK was all about wrestling with all Extreme Rules and all that. And then the next week was all about Comic-Con. This is kind of a little of both, with maybe some E3 thrown in there. Not actually talking about E3, it's just video game stuff. So anyways, Spider-Man is out of the MCU, at least for now. The Disney Marvel deal is over for now, sadly. There's still going to be 2 more movies with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, just no Nick Fury or obviously no more Iron Man. And no mention of Avengery stuff or anything like that. And Sony said the Disney decision was based on Kevin Feige's workload. There's a lot of he said, she said, I don't know. But unfortunately, this spoiled the next bit of news that I probably would have otherwise been excited about, because this Labor Day weekend, there's going to be an extended version of Far From Home coming to theaters while I'm at DragonCon, so its significance goes even less for me. This was like any other year where I was staying back in town while my friends went to DragonCon. This would be, okay, cool, I got something to look forward to there, besides copious amounts of college football. But no, it's really just like, whatever. Especially because it's extended 4 minutes of an action sequence. I mean, okay, whatever. Oh, can I wait till the Blu-ray? I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. I mean, I'm not even planning on watching another movie again until It Chapter 2, so I don't know. We'll see. And Disney Plus, or not Disney Plus, D23, go, spoiler alert, Sexy Thor, jeez. D23 happened, and there were a lot of Disney Plus announcements and showing you the Avengers Academy and everything. Avengers Campus, no, Avengers Academy is the comic series / mobile game that I used to be hooked on back in 2016. And I talked a lot about it. Disney Plus. Marvel Studios has even more Disney Plus shows coming. Surprise, surprise. Miss Marvel, the Kamala Khan, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk. Thor's current kind of girlfriend herself. But anyways, oh yeah, and speaking of Spider-Man, just going back a few ways, History Comic Books is back from its break and came out with History of Spider-Man Part 1. So there's no excuse. Literally all of you should be listening to that. And also Thunder Talk and its DragonCon stuff. Even more of it is coming this coming week before we all head on down there. So you've got even more podcasts to listen to while you're either driving down to DragonCon or wishing you were at DragonCon. Hopefully you're all of the former, though. But anyways, back to D23. Also, Kit Harington was announced in Eternals as Black Knight. I'm not really sure. I haven't done a whole lot of research about him. I know he was theorized that he might show up in Endgame, but no, he's in Eternals. I heard a thing about what he was and what his deal is and all that, but maybe you know better, or maybe you can do better research and then educate me for once. Or if you're Wheatley, educate me for the 14,605th time. Wow, I almost skimped and didn't make an Endgame reference where I could have made an Endgame reference. And there's a whole big esotericness about it that I'm now going to reveal because I was just like, hey, maybe I want to go to this Avengers panel. And Lightning Lad's like, yeah, you should. But you also talk Avengers. So go to this party. So I'm just like, sure, I'll think about it and probably go to it. Ooh, and one final announcement for Marvel Studios Black Panther 2. Directed by Ryan Coogler, duh. Starring Chadwick Boseman, duh. Coming May 6, 2022. So to recap, our movies for the next 3 Mays is Black Widow next May, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness the following May, and now Black Panther 2 for the May after that. Shifting to Star Wars and Disney Plus. The Mandalorian's first trailer came out starring Game of Thrones Pedro Pascal, and it will be premiering when the service launches on November 12th. A new season of Clone Wars, because that's definitely an animated series that just won't die, comes out February 2020. And the Obi-Wan series that was originally going to be an Obi-Wan movie until they're just like, hey, maybe let's not crank out a Star Wars movie every 6 months. We'll be back with Ewan McGregor, back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. A little side news that I figured was worth mentioning, even though it doesn't fit into the regular WTLK mode. The Matrix 4 is actually going to be happening with Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, directed by Lana Wachowski. So somebody is really figure, hey, this might be a cool time to capitalize on Keanu's insane internet popularity. And so that's what they're going with. John Wick 4, Matrix 4, 444. Into a bit of video game news. Mortal Kombat, Warner Brothers, same people that do DC stuff, and that's important for later, announced the rest of their unlockable DLC characters for their combat pack, and holy crap, it's a doozy. First, you get Undead Sindel, which is cool, but these final 3 characters, oh my god. You got Spawn, which we already knew. He'll be voiced by Keith David, who voiced him in the Spawn animated series. We got the Joker, who knows who's going to voice him. And then you've got the T-800 Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. Wow. You know, over the last few years, my financial wisdom has sort of been not mostly called into question by me. Nobody else really called it into question, or maybe they just did low key and I just don't know about it. I don't blame you if you did either way. But paying the extra $20 to get the deluxe edition for Mortal Kombat 11 is definitely one of the best financial decisions I ever made because I get the whole combat pack early access. So I get to play as Spawn, Joker, and T-800 like ASAP. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Also, what I'm excited about, um, speaking of good financial decisions, is the DLC they announced that will be coming out as just a regular DLC pack for everybody else, but will be free for people who pre-ordered the game, I do believe. And that is a sort of Halloween horror themed DLC pack where you get to play as skins of certain WWE superstars with a horror theme to it. So you get Braun Strowman as a sort of Frankenstein. You get Finn Balor as the Demon King. Wow. You get Randy Orton as a literal Viper person. That's really wow. And then there are pieces you can add to your superstar that are pumpkin and Halloween themed. And there's a sort of showcase scenario where you get to fight it out at the Wyatt compound, and that's important later. And there's also some towers where you're like Survivor Mandy Rose trying to survive Twisted Nikki Cross, which I wonder how they're going to do a Twisted Nikki Cross, because I thought that was her character to begin with. I don't know. But most importantly, of this DLC pack, you can play as the Fiend himself. Yes, what we were probably figuring would probably be in next year's game, sadly, even though, I mean, we've all sort of know the realm of video games and transactions and video game store commerce things. It, I mean, it would be horrible if he wasn't even a DLC for this game, considering he's been known for months and debuted like 2 months before the game launched. But yeah, you can play him. You can play as him instantly and get all this stuff if you pre-order WWE 2K20, or that whole pack will be available on a later date for like $15. So choose wisely. So now that we've gone through all the video game and comic book news, transitioning from The Fiend onwards, speaking of The Fiend, he didn't show up the following 2 days following SummerSlam, but he sure as shit showed up on Raw this past Monday, because Jerry Lawler was filling in for Corey Graves, who was on vacation. And if you don't know, Jerry Lawler was a very, very famous longtime commentator for Raw, and he was subbing in for Corey Graves, and he was holding his King's Court segment to talk to Sasha Banks about her decision about attacking Natalya and Becky Lynch like she did. And he was about to get started for King's Court, and then the lights turned off, and he was like, oh boy, no, 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 no. I've seen this before. I'm out of here. So he almost got away out of and he was like pretty much right at the end of the ramp, right next to the entrance from the backstage area where people come out. And then the Fiend showed up behind him and hit him with a mandible claw. Damn. No word yet on who the Fiend's next actual feud might be. But Sasha Banks' story just got a little bit thicker because Natalya was cutting a backstage promo talking about what the hell did Sasha Banks just do last week. And before that, Michael Cole interviewed Sasha Banks, and he was just like, yeah. And Sasha was like, yeah, everyone was just talking about my blue hair. And he'd be like, no one was talking about your blue hair, with all due respect, and we will thank you to tell us why you attacked Natalya and Becky Lynch. And then Sasha just paused for a minute, and she was just like, you're welcome. And then Natalya was just like, what did I do? Or what? Why did she do that? Blah, blah, blah. And then Sasha came out of nowhere and beat the shit out of Natty, as evil superstars tend to do. And then she said, go to hell, tell your dad I said hi. Damn! Damn. I mean, haven't heard something that bad since Dean Ambrose said that Roman Reigns deserved that cancer. Anyway, going from that dreadful note, half of the first round matches of King of the Ring happened as well. Samoa Joe defeated Cesaro. Cedric Alexander defeated Sami Zayn, so they're moving forward. The other half of those matches will take place this Monday on Raw, and I'll tell you about the SmackDown ones later. Because the show even started out with Roman Reigns just having a match with Dolph Ziggler because he's pissed off that somebody's trying to kill him, and Dolph Ziggler's just pissed off at everybody, so they fought it out. And Roman won. And then Braun Strowman qualified for a United States Championship match, coming to Seth Rollins' aid the previous Monday. And when he looked like he was about to beat AJ Styles, the OC, Anderson, and Gallows were just like, no, we'll just attack you and disqualify you, and AJ will still be U.S. champion. And Seth Rollins came to his aid And then he was just like, okay, I'll give you a Universal Championship match later, but we should really challenge them for the Raw Tag Team titles. To which I was just like, no, they wouldn't make them champions. They're going to have the OCB hold all the gold they possibly can for a while, and then, Rollins and Strowman will fuck up. Strowman will turn heel and get all mad at Rollins. And then we'll be setting for Rollins versus Strowman for Clash of Champions. That's not what happened at all. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman actually defeated Gallows and Anderson, so they're Raw Tag Team Champions on top of Seth Rollins being Universal Champion. So, yeah, Sethy two belts. And this is also the third time that Seth Rollins has held two belts at the same time, so this man really loves his belts. As much as he loves his now fiancée, Becky Lynch, who he proposed to and is obviously now engaged to at the beginning of this weekend. So congratulations to the both of them. So much gold, so many rings. Wow. Oh, and who knows if it's still going to be Rollins versus Strowman at Clash of Champions. I guess we'll see. Oh, little side note. NXT is moving to the USA Network on September 18th when American Horror Story 1984 premieres. So cool. NXT will still show up on demand the following evening on the WWE Network, but it's showing up live on the USA Network. Very nice. Takeovers are still network exclusive though, so don't cancel those subscriptions just yet, boys and girls. So, just a couple notes on SmackDown to close this out. Andrade defeated Apollo Crews, and he will be moving forward to the quarterfinals. And Elias defeated Kevin Owens because of Shane McMahon. See, they actually had some story to this one first because the previous week, Shane McMahon quote unquote, fined Kevin Owens $100,000 for attacking Elias, who was an official at SummerSlam. And he was just like, okay. And then Shane McMahon came out as his own special guest referee for that match. Special guest enforcer, I guess I should say. Much to Kevin Owens' dismay and surprise. And Kevin couldn't attack him, so he could defeat Elias fairly. So when Elias had Kevin Owens pinned, Shane McMahon came out, did 1, 2, 3, and then Elias proceeded as the winner, and he'll move on to the quarterfinals. So the next half of this match will be this Tuesday on SmackDown, and I'll let you know about that next week, along with the results of the NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, which will be Saturday during DragonCon. So we'll see if we get to watch sometime during that weekend. And I have all sorts of good stuff, like Tyler Bate fighting Walter for the WWE United Kingdom Championship, and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans for the NXT UK Tag Team Championship. Toni Storm defending her NXT UK Women's Championship from Kaylee Ray. Joe Coffey going against wow, bummer, Dave Mastiff in a last man standing grudge match, and a few others. So tune in, because I'll tell you all about it, even though I've definitely not been keeping you in the loop on what happens with NXT UK. Sorry. Maybe I should start. Or maybe I'll just give you the whole story lowdown while I'm talking about NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. I don't know. But anyways, so Shane McMahon did 1, 2, 3. Elias moves forward. And finally, a little bit of news. Finally, we get a Clash of Champions matchup, which will be Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. But it's neat because it seems like we're heading towards Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for Clash of Champions, mayhaps. So we've got all the 4 horsewomen fighting each other, which is pretty dope. I would do say so myself. And oh yeah, so Daniel Bryan and Rowan promised Roman Reigns to show him who the attacker is that has been trying to toss scaffolding and what's his name, and try and hit Roman Reigns with the car. And they got Buddy Murphy to admit that he lied, maybe. And so they had the guy, they showed him to Roman Reigns, and it's like a Rowan body double, beard and all. So Roman's just as confused as everybody else is. But good news on that, because beforehand, Daniel Bryan had a match against Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy won. He won his first ever TV match on SmackDown. So good, because we need Buddy Murphy having 2 losses going into next week, where he faces Ali for the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. And on that note, everybody have a safe Labor Day weekend. I'll see you next week, and you know who the women's tag team champions still are.